The first 5 minutes of Washington's 2021 season were brilliant. The Huskies received the opening kickoff from Montana, a team in the Football Championship Subdivision, and covered 78 yards in 9 plays before punching the ball into the end zone on a 1-yard run by quarterback Dylan Morris. Then everything collapsed. The Huskies were thoroughly embarrassed during a 13-7 loss to the Grizzlies that thrust their season into peril. Morris hurled as many interceptions against Montana, 3, as he did in 4 games during last year's shortened season. The Huskies couldn't throw the ball, a ghastly 4.9 yards per attempt, couldn't run the ball, 26 carries for 53 yards as a team, and couldn't convert on third down, 4 of 14. They need to right the ship fast. The player to watch on Washington is cornerback Trent McDuffie, a high-level NFL prospect regarded among the best defensive backs in the country. McDuffie is next in a long line of corners and safeties who played at Washington and got drafted in the early rounds. He will eventually join the likes of C.B. Byron Murphy, 2nd round, 2019, S. Taylor Rapp, 2nd round, 2019, C.B. Kevin King, 2nd round, 2017, S. Budda Baker, 2nd round, 2017, C.B. Sidney Jones, 2nd round, 2017, C.B. Marcus Peters, 1st round, 2015, and C.B. Desmond Trufant, 1st round, 2013, as the next member of the so-called DBU defensive back university. McDuffie allowed 1 catch for 14 years against Montana and notched 2 pass breakups. 3 things we learned. Vincent Gray wasn't lying. Of the handful of players who spoke to the media ahead of Saturday's game with Western Michigan, cornerback Vincent Gray was arguably the most vocal in expressing his appreciation for the change in defensive system. Gray told reporters he was ready for something new after last year's implosion under former coordinator Don Brown, who tasked his corners with playing almost exclusively man coverage for much of his tenure in Ann Arbor. New defensive coordinator Mike McDonald mixed his coverages against the Broncos, though there were plenty of times when Gray and fellow starting corner Jemin Green played man-to-man as well. Gray was excellent regardless of what coverage McDonald chose. WMU quarterback Caleb Ellaby threw 4 passes toward players covered by Gray and completed only 1 for 0 yards, according to Pro Football Focus. He really does like the new system. 3 things to watch. How will Washington respond? While there were several major programs that lost to FCS schools in Week 1, that does little to undercut the humiliation Washington felt Saturday night. Second-year head coach Jimmy Lake, who was promoted from defensive coordinator after the 2019 campaign and once coached defensive backs for the Detroit Lions in 2008, has an enormous task ahead of him to regroup and refocus his team in what still amounts to the early stages of his tenure. Had the Huskies taken care of Montana and arrived in Ann Arbor with a 1-0 record, they likely would have been the betting favorites. Instead, Lake's team is an underdog and will face a raucous environment at Michigan Stadium with its season on life support. Redemption for Giles Jackson. The former wide receiver and return man entered the transfer portal after 2020 and landed at Washington, which is closer to where he grew up in California. Jackson caught 4 passes for 15 yards against Montana and also carried the ball once for 7 yards. But he will likely be searching for redemption in more ways than one next weekend. Not only should Jackson be eager to perform well in front of the school that recruited the former 4-star receiver, but he also needs to shake off the ending to Saturday's loss. With 1:33 remaining in the 4th quarter, Morris looked for Jackson on a slant route on 4th and 2 to keep the game alive. But the ball ricocheted off Jackson's hands for an incompletion that sealed the Huskies' fate. Quarterback change for the Huskies? Stop me if this sounds familiar. Behind Washington's starting quarterback is a former 5-star recruit who fans in the Pacific Northwest are dying to see. The only difference between Michigan and Washington is that Cade McNamara played a terrific game against Western Michigan. Backing up Morris at Washington is true freshman Sam Huard from Bellevue, Washington, just outside Seattle. Huard was ranked 2 spots ahead of McCarthy on the final 247 Sports Composite rankings for the class of 2021 and had scholarship offers from Southern California, Florida, and Tennessee, among others, before deciding to stay close to home. Could Moore's 3-interception performance against Montana be enough to force Lake into a quarterback change? We'll have to wait and see. Follow Detroit Free Press.